UWI named among the top 40 universities in Latin America and the Caribbean. Former Prime Minister Owen Arthur bestowed with a new title. And in sports, Deandra Doughton leads the West Indies women to victory in the opening World Cup match.
Credible, balanced, committed. This is the CBC Evening News.
Very good evening to you. I'm Lisa Broom with the CBC Evening News. In our top story tonight, the University of the West Indies has been named one of the top universities in Latin America and the Caribbean. Deputy Principal of UWI Cave Hill, Professor Clive Landis, says the university ranked 34th out of more than 2,000. It's also number 1 in the Caribbean and in the top 5% worldwide.
In the Times Higher Education ranking scheme, we scored especially highly on our international presence and the impact of our scholarly publications by citation. So it is of particular satisfaction to me as an administrator of this uniquely complicated university that incorporates 3 landed campuses in Barbados, Jamaica, and Trinidad, and is supported by 18 sovereign states in the Caribbean, that our international impact should have scored so highly. So all this complexity in managing a unique multinational university has now been rewarded with this high global honor.
Professor Landis made the comments during an alumni symposium at the university. He says it's important to foster collaboration between past students and the institution, which is tasked with raising the next generation of leaders. However, of equal importance is the need to document these collaborations when they happen.
Alumni engagement, it doesn't really happen unless you record it and recognize it, and it feeds into our rankings as well. And you know, it's a little bit like doing a lot of good research and a lot of good work in the university and not telling anyone about it. It's the same with alumni. We have to record when we have significant engagements such as these today, and as I have found out, which seem to be happening routinely.
Former Prime Minister of Barbados, Owen Arthur, has been conferred a new title by the University of the West Indies. He will now be known as Professor of Practice, and Professor Landis made that announcement during the symposium, which Mr. Arthur addressed earlier today.
At the October 31st meeting of the University Finance and General Purposes Committee, I'm pleased to be able to announce that we have sitting among us Professor Owen Arthur, our Professor of Practice for Cave Hill.
In other news now, marketing the destination of Barbados is not for the government alone. Minister of Tourism and International Transport, Kerry Simmons, is hopeful that government and the private sector can work together as marketing is Barbados's business.
You may have a nice roadside cafe. Your roadside cafe may be supplemented at crop over time by a lot of visitors to the island coming to give you some business. It couldn't happen if you were not in Destination Barbados, which is bringing business to you by way of the crop over experience. And so we want people to have that philosophical approach to it and to recognize that there is now an opportunity to help us make you a little bit better off financially. And therefore we will look forward to a strategic partnership, and it can vary in terms of and shape and form and size.
Mr. Simmons also provided an update on the proposed merger of the Barbados Tourism Marketing Incorporated and the Barbados Tourism Product Authority.
We have to take it to Cabinet. In fact, the World Travel Market this week made it impossible for me to be in Barbados to do the Cabinet paper on Thursday. So I'm anticipating that next week, Thursday, this will be before the Cabinet. And as I said, all of the preparation has been done. On paper, we know what the entity will look like. So we are far ahead of the planning stage. And then implementation will obviously take place now as we go into winter. And I believe that it will work.
Police are investigating the sudden death of a 31-year-old St. Philip man. They say Kadri Rudder of Coles Road was discovered lying on his back at the bus stop on the airport access road in Christchurch. Rudder was reportedly at a restaurant nearby earlier in the night and had left to catch the 11 o'clock bus. It was while at the bus stop that he suddenly collapsed and died on the spot. And a man is in hospital in serious condition after falling from a breadfruit tree in New Orleans. Police say the man, whom they've so far only identified as Garlic or Winston, was trimming the tree when he fell. And that was around 20 minutes to 8 this morning. Now, CBC has just learned that Garlic or Winston has died from his injuries he sustained in that fall. Barbados is to play host to the CARICOM Climate Change Negotiators and Ministers meeting. That meeting is slated for Monday, and it's in preparation for the 24th conference of the parties COP24 to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. Technical meetings will be held on Monday and Tuesday to prepare CARICOM delegations for COP24, identify CARICOM lead negotiators for specific agenda items, and arrive at common positions for these agenda items. The ministerial segment of the meeting will take place on Wednesday. The establishment of a national art gallery is still on the cards for Barbados. Minister of Creative Economy, Culture and Sports, John King, says several areas have already been identified. He addressed the matter on the sidelines of the opening of the art exhibition, The Arrivants, Art and Migration in the Anglophone Caribbean World, and that was held at the Barbados Museum.
There's Block A, shot over there that people have been talking about. There are other, yes, the Block A building over there. Yes, where CXC was. There have been talk about Carnegie, the library. When that gets repaired, there's a plan to also put a space there that could be used for a national art gallery. Some people have been asking us about using the old town hall building down by St. Mary's Church. So there are a number of things on the table. But like all things, you have to look at them, weigh the pros and the cons, and then make a conscious decision. And I'd like to take this opportunity to ask the business community, ask people in Barbados to come on board and join us. Your suggestions, your ideas are welcome.
Barbados's first coding school, the Source Code Developer Academy, will start classes in the coming weeks. Facilitated by a partnership between 10 Habitat and Code Fellows out of the USA, the school will allow more Barbadians to learn the technological language. 10's Executive Director, Selwyn Cambridge, says learning code can open doors for citizens.
This Coding Academy is a step in that direction. It's one step closer that allows us to close the loop in terms of creating a vibrant and responsive startup ecosystem that allows our region's youth, particularly first starting in Barbados, to be able to have an idea, envisage what it can look like, but have the support and the requisite skills to execute on it.
Labour Minister Colin Jordan also attended the launch and lauded the initiative being rolled out. He says it's in keeping with the evolving trends.
At present, children learn ABC as maybe one of the first things that they learn in a school setting or nursery setting. And I was told that in a few years, coding will be there along with the ABC in terms of what young children will be exposed to from maybe as early as 5 or 6 or 7 years old. For a person who grew up before there were computers, that is something challenging even to get my head around.